What's up guys, Damian and Bruce at WaterBear College of Music. I've come down to learn from the master, as I have been for the last 20 years of my life. And I've got a question for you. Can you start to help people design their career? A lot of people will be watching this, struggling, going round in circles. Yeah. How can we start to design someone's career?
So we're talking about making the transition, I suppose, from being really into music to actually making a living at it. And, you know, we're talking about something that a lot of people do for a hobby, and we've got to differentiate something that looks good on Facebook with something that pays the bills. And a lot of musicians kind of, you know, are hovering between those two things. So we're both dealing with musicians day in, day out, you know, so it's the same things crop up. And I've got three tips I think that'll really help here. And tip number one is really just define your goals, because hobbyists don't really do that. You know, it's not going to work out on its own. In the same way that going swimming once or twice a week, you're not going to accidentally end up in the Olympic swimming team. It's not going to happen. A MacBook's not going to grow on a tree by accident, you know. Your music career is not going to happen. You make the decision to have the music career and you define your goals. Even if it's fairly broad, like I want to have a long-term sustainable career in music, that's a good goal. And then you get some help to work out how to do it.
Yeah, one thing that I always remember you saying to me when I was little was, if you wait to see what happens,
nothing will happen.
Nothing happens.
Yeah,
which is so true.
It's literally like waiting for a MacBook to grow on a tree, you know. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. So practically, I think this is such a strong bit of advice to start it off. Something that people can do right now. How would you do this? Would you get a piece of paper and a pen and literally start scribbling ideas?
I'd design your life. Yeah, it's a research job to make sure it's realistic and achievable. But this is how careers are made. They are decided upon and designed. People take charge and take responsibility for their future.
And so how much detail? I've got my piece of paper and I've just put, as people are going to be, I want people to do this, they've got the piece of paper and they've got something like, what do I want to achieve? Or what are my targets? What are my goals? At that point, how much detail should we go into?
I think as much as you can, because then you're setting a destination, aren't you? And it doesn't matter if you change course, as long as you're heading vaguely north, you're going to be going somewhere, you know. Right. The danger is this type of music career that kind of ends up back at square one over 10, 20 years, you know. So it might change, but fill in the detail. And I'd be really specific on things like income. Right. You know, for example, we're all, I think, familiar with this idea of portfolio career, where you've got kind of slices of a pie chart which represent your income streams and perhaps the days of the week that you work, you know. But a lot of musicians don't just do basic maths, like I'm going to do 10 guitar lessons a week at 30 quid an hour. Well, that's 1,200 quid a month, and that's a third of a good solid income, isn't it? Yeah. So just 10 guitar students, you've solved a third of your problem.
Yeah, in 10 hours a week, which if you think about 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, you've literally just gone 10 hours and then all of a sudden you've got all of that time.
Yeah, and not only that, you've taken the heat off your band or your solo project, because if you've got all your eggs in one basket, it's like a pressure cooker, and it's just too much, and that's why bands split up, you know? And
so we've defined the goals and we've put detail in it. Which means not only have we got a destination we're traveling to, but also if someone, here's something that musicians do quite a lot, is opportunities come up.
Yeah.
This happens all the time where we just go, oh, that opportunity. All of a sudden you can see and go, is this opportunity fitting in with these goals and these targets? Because you said this happening. Is that because people are taking on opportunities or taking on more?
Yeah, because when you're clear on your goals, everything you do in the day, even down to like, shall I just take 15 minutes to have a cup of tea? It's a binary thing. It's yes or no. Is it taking me closer to this outcome that I want, or is it taking me further away? So this is what I mean by it's a switch, it's a mindset thing. Well, I'm going to do that, you know. Shall I go out for a drink with my mates tonight, or shall I write songs? Well, you know, you've got to have a life as well, because music reflects your life. So I'm not saying live like a monk, but on the other hand, you know, there's a balance there. We've got to get this job done, and that'll really inform your decision making and make every decision a lot clearer.
Yeah, I love that. So we've now got this piece of paper. We've got on it about goals, and the goals that we want to achieve are on this piece of paper. What do we do next? What's the second tip?
I think before we leave this bit of paper, you look at models of people who do it, right, and then you just research and you just hang with people who do this stuff. That's why we collect the people we do around WaterBear. They're all people who exemplify this stuff, you know. I mean, I wouldn't want to, that idea of like, wait for Simon Cowell to sort of open all this up for us, it's mental, you know, because we're already in the music business. So the idealised model is that everything that you're doing, all your activities, support each other. So if we take an example, for example, someone we work with who's a student on the Masters runs a studio. Now, when I first met them, they did a lot of tour management and a lot of teching.
Right.
The studio's become more successful and they've had a couple of big records. So the mixing and the production side doesn't basically, this guy don't go on the road anymore, right, you know. So at least half the income's coming from studio, runs his own studio, so three of your days a week he's done there. He does a couple of days teaching, and he's still a touring member of a band. Right.
And can I just ask on that?
Yeah.
So some people are watching. I've seen some of the comments. Some people are watching. They might be 25, 30, 35, 40, thinking to themselves, well, that's fantastic, because he's now got his Venn diagram, because he's going, well, not only am I a musician, I get to do the thing I love, but also I'm making money from it, is the little bit in the middle, which is fantastic. And if people are watching this going, well, that's fine, but I'm not that yet. How would you get started with this idea of designing your
designing your own. This is the thing. Everybody's pie chart is different because everybody's life's different. So, but you do need a bit of mentoring. Right. You know, I think this is. I come from Scarborough. You know, I couldn't have done this from Scarborough when I was 18. I didn't know enough people. So you know, but it's easy. That's what WaterBear's for. That's why we put stuff out. That's why we do videos like this. You know, so it could reach anybody. But you find somebody who does this stuff, and a few people, and you look at how they do it, and you figure it out, what works for you. But within that creative skills that you've got, if you can run a band, you can run a business.
100%.
So you say to a lot of people, what do you do? Well, I'm in a band, and then you pick it apart, and they're experts in digital marketing because they run the social media really well. They're project managers, they're tour managers. The creative skill set that you've got there is incredibly transferable into other areas that make a lot of money.
And so, obviously, I'd love to have 6 baskets, which we can start getting. But you say about designing your life, which I love. You're designing life. We've got our targets. Now we're going after them. And you said about the sort of the sacrifice. So the second part is, once you've defined your goals, you need to design your life. And would you say, for example, start figuring out where your free time is or what you can sacrifice? How would you start to design?
I mean, I think when you're young, you can just do 7 days a week, can't you? You just live it and you breathe it. I mean, the difference comes when you become a parent. You know, and you've got family. And I also have I'm really into work-life balance, and I think that you've got to have a life in order to be a good musician, because life reflects art and the other way around. So you plan your time. I don't pick my phone up on the weekend. Right. I make sure I get home every day to get my little boy to bed, or at least every other day. My wife does the other days, but that's by design. Now, if I didn't do this stuff, I'd still be on the phone, you know, I wouldn't be a good parent, you know. So it's a vehicle for just doing the things you want to do. And at the end of the day, all professional life boils down to priorities and time.
Right. And which is where the first tip comes in, designing your...
Taking charge
of it.
You know, and what I love is the flexibility. So we don't know where the music business is going to go or what format's going to come out. And we don't know which bits of these income streams is going to be the most effective, but you can wind one up or down and steer your way through pretty choppy waters.
I'm really interested in this, and we'll go on to the third point in a minute, but so we've got these baskets, these income streams. Can you give me 3 or 4 examples for someone who is a musician who is thinking, I don't have these transferable skills, or I don't have the income streams? What type of income could they do? One thing you mentioned was guitar teaching, or drum teaching, or singing teaching. You mentioned tour management, and you mentioned
there's a lot of musicians now producing content for social media because there's a skill shortage.
Yeah.
Every company, whether it's a florist or it's American Express or American Airlines or whatever it is, has to produce an incredible amount of content. So editors and people who storyboard videos, people who direct videos,
writers,
cameramen, there's an awful lot of that stuff around. Musicians are really good at it because of timing. It's editing, telling a story.
Yeah.
It's the same as songwriting.
Absolutely.
So I know so many musicians who do a couple of days of that, and they do everything from music videos to corporate stuff.
Right.
But there's a big world out there, and we've just got to take the blinkers off. And at the end of the day, if you go and do a couple of nights in a music pub or a record store, and you're in the scene, then there's nothing wrong with that. And also, I think for all of us, we've got to get a little bit of stigma out of the way that it's a bad thing just to go and get a job to earn a few quid. Because what kills music careers is running out of cash and not being able to pay your rent. Yeah. So if you have to go and do a day job for 6 months, for 2 or 3 days a week, or pull pints for a bit, there's nothing wrong with it. It's part and parcel of a creative career.
Great. So we've got our goals. We've started defining how we want to see our life, designing our life.
We've got a resilient approach, so that however much you want to design it, we can roll with the punches a little bit as well. So we've got flexibility.
And then the third point.
The third point is really important, and it's a defining aspect of how your career is going to go. What's that saying? The best indication of future performance is past performance.
Right.
So I can tell generally what people we're working with, where they're going to be in 5 years by what they've done in the last 6 months and times it by 10. So brilliant, you're on a graph. It's about how fast you're working, how much you're doing in a day. So if someone does 3 pub gigs in a year, well, that's 15 pub gigs in 5 years, I think.
It's good maths, that.
Is it? Right.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So, that's 15 pub gigs. That's not a career. So if you want to be... But a lot of that time, musicians have a hard time making that correlation and think somehow they're going to be on this curve and suddenly they end up at Wembley Arena.
Yeah.
But generally, life is a series of steps along a certain gradient. So if your gradient is like that, you got to do something about it.
Okay, so what you're saying is pace of work and achieving within the small amounts or large amounts of time that you have.
Getting stuff done.
So getting stuck in, effectively.
Yeah, getting stuff done. I don't know many people in the music business who have a career who aren't out of bed and working by 9.
Yeah.
And you've got to look at people around you who do that stuff. They work hard, because everybody wants a career in the creative industries, and it's an amazing thing. But it does come at a price, which you just got. It's very competitive. You got to work hard, be good, do stuff,
and it very much helps to know how to do something.
I'll give you a good example of this. Liam from the Cancer Bats was a very inspirational character. He was in WaterBear recently. He's had loads of albums out, all on different labels, some crowdfunded, some on... He's got a clothing company. He's busy. But it's that saying, if you want something doing, ask a busy person.
Yeah.
He pops into college, he does, and he's got on his phone and he's doing stuff, and and I said to him, how long can you keep this pace up? And he looked at me like I was mad. He's like, well, this is what I do, forever, was the answer.
Sweet. So, 3 things. Number 1, we need the goals. So anyone who right now cannot tell you what their goals are probably needs to have a sit down and have a think.
I think so. Yeah.
Once you've done that, what is your life going to look like? What does a phrase I really like, what does good look like?
Yeah.
What does good look like for your life? How many hours are you putting into it? What are the things you need to do? And how is what you're doing going to fit into number 1? And
then the third thing is monitor your progress and make sure you're on that kind of gradient to get to where you want to be. There's one other thing I want to say. There's always exceptions to these kind of rules. Now, there's always those people that are so talented that they don't do any of that, and it works out for them.
Right.
They often have very chaotic lives, and they're just so good, that they're that good that none of that matters, and everyone else sorts it all out. But they are 1 in a million, 1 in 10 million, and often
an example of that would be
Axl Rose,
Pete
Guns N' Roses, Pete Doherty. Sometimes behind the scene they're a lot smarter than they sort of let on, but you can often see a chaotic kind of artistic stuff around the edges. But it's very dangerous to model yourself on those people, because I'm not one of them, and I've been waiting a long time for the kind of planets to line up and a career just to unfold.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen. So thanks for listening, everybody. I've been Bruce, this has been Damian, you've been brilliant. It's so enjoyable to engage in this kind of debate, so very interested in what you've got to say, and this stuff is what we do day in, day out at WaterBear. And the key point is, everybody's professional future, everybody's pie chart and income streams and the way they design their life is different, and that's why you've got to treat people like individuals and have this type of discussion.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, you've got to do that, everybody.